We got onto Insidious probably in January of last year. And, you know, I don't know if a lot of you had heard about it. It opened in the Toronto Film Festival that previous fall. And it got a lot of great buzz. I mean, it was really embraced by the horror genre fan community. There was a lot of great reviews on the blogs, Fangoria, Bloody Disgusting. It even started to get a little bit of general press. But it left the festival without anybody to pick it up to distribute it. And, you know, it was a really, everybody loved it, but they just didn't know, you know, really what the one thing that you could kind of hang up your hat on it. You know, it was, we called it, you know, a genre nightmare. Most horror films you can kind of, you know, pin down in one word. You can kind of refer to it as another genre, you know, that's already preceded it. Paranormal Activity, you know, that goes back to Blair Witch Project. But with Insidious, you know, we screened it, and, you know, we realized that it was a ghost film, it was a haunted house film, it was a possession film, it was Poltergeist. You know, it had a bit of the Poltergeist feel to it. So, you know, I think for about 4 or 5 days after the screening, we just kept on saying, what is it, what is it, what is it? What's the one thing that, you know, you can really say Insidious was about? And it was really actually, the way that Film District decided that they were going to market it, they wanted to keep it to a PG rating. And it was the first time since Poltergeist, I believe, that a film had come out, a horror film had come out with a PG rating. So, you know, that in and of itself is good for the distribution, because you can open up the film to a whole other market. A lot of kids, you know, are dying to see R-rated horror films they can't get in. But it also causes a reverse problem, is that the hardcore fans say, well, it's not going to be that scary, it's not going to be all of, you know, worthwhile, I'm not going to get that great thrill that I know that I can get from an R-rated movie. You know, it also came with a lot of, you know, great pedigree. It was James Wan, Lee Winnell, you know, Saw 1. It had Jason Blum and Oren Peli associated with it as co-producers. It was the first time that you know, this team had gotten together. So it was really confusing as to, you know, what Insidious was going to really come to the market as. And, you know, we kind of, we went out and said, you know what, the fans have so many different expectations for this film. Maybe the best way to market it is to not pin it down to any one particular genre, because, you know, when you have a spectrum like that, everybody's going to wind up going to see the film and being happy, because they're going to get what they expected out of it. So going back to, you know, what we talked about in terms of, you know, Diamonds is love, FedEx is reliability, Doritos is about loud. You know, let's just talk about ambiguity. That's going to be the word that we're just going to use as the positioning when every time we sit down to talk, you know, to write a creative expression of this. Let's use ambiguity as a plus rather than a minus, and let's let the audience really define the movie for themselves, and let's just build on that. And that's going to be our campaign. So with that, we came up with this just 2 simple words: Insidious is insidious, is insidious, is insidious, is insidious. And once we had that positioning, that cultural hook, that way of really, you know, starting to just, you know, define what the movie was, everything just broke open for us. And it really allowed us to really kind of just say, okay, now what is the look of the film? You know, the marketing material. What are going to be the key words? And, you know, if you notice in the title, you know, it had a nice fortunate little graphic trick that happened when you turned it over. And then we even, in the one sheet, made sure that we branded Insidious is in the kid's eyes. It's a little out of focus, but it's Insidious and is up there. And then we said, okay, now let's take this to the trailer. And, you know, the trailer, we looked at the trailer really as you know, a Super Bowl commercial. You know, we didn't want to just go out and tell the story. You know, Hollywood is notorious when they come to marketing. It's just, don't get in the way of the film. Tell the story, tell the story. Show me everything that I can possibly know about the movie before I get there. So by the time I get there, you know, what's there to see? So we really wanted to keep this Insidious is feeling up and elevated, not being totally blind about what the movie is, but we just wanted to really let that become the thing that the audience took away when they saw it.
And, you know, obviously coming from a more traditional advertising background, we're used to having we come up with famous lines for our companies, you know, have it your way and just do it and think different, you know. So we're used to kind of finding a creative, simple phrase that we believe really is a way to get people to kind of quickly connect to your brand. So when we went to them and even said, okay, so here's your campaign line, it's going to be Insidious is. They're like, well, we don't really need a campaign line. The movie's coming out in 2 months. You see, we don't need a campaign line because we have such a short amount of time to market our products. It's different than your world where you have products that sit on shelves for years and years. You can build a campaign. We don't have time to build campaigns. We have to get the story out there. We have to, you know, make sure that it's a story you guys like with Adam Sandler, and we gotta move fast. And we gotta get all over the place. We said, no, we think you can. We think you can. We think you can still follow this kind of more Madison Avenue way of doing things, and we think this idea of Insidious is going to really help create buzz for your movie quickly in the exact same way traditional marketers do it. So right off the bat, we could feel it starting to work because when we put Insidious is in the little boy's eyes, there was a buzz. All of a sudden there was this buzz all over the place about this poster with this weird thing in this kid's eyes and what did that mean and whatever. So again, kind of going counter to the business, and I think even for you guys that are all going to be marketing your own films, you know, there are some tricks of the trade that even though are not commonly used in the business sometimes, they are sometimes, I mean there are, but it really does, I think it still can be done. You just have to do it in a compressed amount of time. So Insidious they went with it. They said, cool, all right, that's our line, and we're going to use it in everything we do.